everyone! Today I'm going to be making a Brazilian coconut chicken. You could use chicken breast. In this recipe I'll be using chicken drumsticks. So in this recipe I'll also be using some black pepper, sea salt, cumin, cayenne pepper, turmeric, garlic powder. I have some olive oil, minced ginger, minced garlic, some coconut milk, some fresh tomato, onions. I'm going to be getting some lemon juice from a lemon and some parsley. So let's get started. I'm going to start heating up my pan at a medium heat. And while that is heating up, I'm going to season my chicken. So I'm going to be using some pepper, some sea salt, some cayenne pepper, my cumin, turmeric, and my garlic powder. I will also use a bit of olive oil so that I can mix the spices throughout the chicken. So once I have that nicely marinated and our pan is heated up, I can start cooking my chicken. I'm going to brown it and I'm going to cook it on all sides. We're just going to make sure that there's nice rub all over the chicken with the spices that we just put in. Alright, so we're going to check our temperature. It's still at a warm heat, so we're going to let it heat up a little bit more. And once that's ready, I'm going to show you how we're going to cook our marinated chicken. Now that my pan with a bit of olive oil is heated up, I'm ready to put my chicken. So we're going to cook it on all sides. We're going to make sure it's nice and brown. And once that's complete, I will show you the next step that I will do with the chicken. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start preparing my ingredients for the next stage of this recipe. So I have some fresh tomato and onion. I'm going to be chopping those up. And then we're going to set those aside for when we need them. Now this recipe is great because you can serve it with some nice rice. You can also serve potatoes. You have lots of options, and the great thing is that the spices that are involved in this recipe is just fantastic. It's very healthy for us, especially the turmeric. It's a great ingredient to use whenever you can. So we're just going to be chopping up our onions in a nice fine chop. So again, while my chicken is cooking on all sides, I've prepared my onions. I'm going to be preparing my tomatoes. I'm just going to be chopping up in a cube. And then we're going to wait a couple more minutes and we're going to take our chicken off of the heat because we just wanted to brown it on all sides, which we have done. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rest my chicken now into my dish. And we're going to cover this with some tin foil. So we're going to cover this with some tin foil to keep it nice and warm. And it's going to also, the steam it's going to create, it's going to create more of a steamer. So now we're just going to add a bit of olive oil, and then we're going to start off with our onions. We're also going to be putting some minced garlic and some ginger. our coconut milk. All right, so we're going to add in our coconut milk. And then we're going to be adding in some lemon juice. Once we bring this to a boil, what we're going to do is we're going to put our tomatoes in, and then I'm going to put my chicken back in so that we can complete the cook on this recipe. The nice thing is that with the spices, as I was cooking it, I noticed it was very spicy because with all those spices, it was giving off a smoky scent, which now with the coconut milk and the tomatoes, it's going to calm all those spices down, which is nice because I don't usually eat things that are very spicy. This recipe also calls for jalapeno peppers, but I took that out of this recipe just because I don't eat things so spicy. But if you want to, you can definitely add that into your recipe if you decide to make this, and it will make it a very spicy dish. But this one, I'm calming it down with the coconut milk and then as well with the tomatoes. So once I again have this to a boil, and now I'm going to be adding in my tomatoes. And once those are cooked, we're going to add our chicken back in so that we can complete this recipe. So it's now coming to a boil. So we're now going to add in our tomatoes. I'm also going to be adding in my lemon juice. So we're just going to finish with the tomatoes. There we go with the tomato. Now you can use 1 or 2 tomatoes. I got 2 out, but it looks like I'm only going to be using 1. So I'm just going to set that aside, and what we're going to do is we're going to start adding in our lemon juice. Now you may use a pre-squeezed lemon juice, which you can get from your grocery store, or even sometimes the dollar store has it, which is fantastic. Or I just got some nice fresh lemons, and I'm just going to use its juice. Alright, so now I'm going to add our lemon juice, and there we go. So we have all of the ingredients in this recipe is now in our dish. So what we're doing now is we're going to complete it. So bring this to a boil, and once that's done, I'm going to slowly add my chicken back in. We're going to turn the heat down to a simmer, and we're going to simmer it for about another half hour, 45 minutes. Now, if you were using a chicken breast, you don't need as much time because that cooks quicker than when it's on the bone. I just want to make sure my chicken is fully cooked, so I will cook it for a little longer. Once that's complete, I will garnish the dish with some nice fresh parsley. You can also use some cilantro. That works well. So it depends on your preference. And so now I'm going to be adding my chicken back into the sauce that we have created, and this will calm down the spices that are in the marinade seasoning rub that we started the chicken off with. So we're just going to add now this back into the sauce. And then we're going to simmer it, and there we go. If you like this recipe and you want to see more like this, please subscribe to our channel. Hit that share, like, and that bell notification. And if you have any comments about this recipe, please leave it down in the comment section. We'll really appreciate that. And if you have any recommendations on a similar recipe, please share it and we'll love to try that out.